What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing some more Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. I'm going to be going over how to build a deck featuring Green's Exploration. Let's get right into it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the main card, Green's Exploration, here first. I'm showing you guys the full art just because it looks way cooler than the regular version. But we're going to take a look at this. You can see it lets you search your deck for up to 2 trainer cards to be able to put them into your hand. That's huge. It can be any trainer card, stadiums, supporters, items, and it's just your one supporter for the turn, so it's a great card, but it does come with a catch, quite a big catch actually. You can only play it if you have no Pokemon with abilities in play, which if you take a look at any top Pokemon deck, you're going to notice that a lot of their Pokemon have abilities. Like in a deck like Blacephalon, the only attackers in the deck are really the 4 Blacephalon that are included. All the other Pokemon are just Pokemon with abilities that can support Blacephalon. So it's going to be tricky to build a deck featuring Pokemon that have no abilities. So I'm going to go over how you can do that. So there's lots of Pokemon GX to pick from what's out there, but the selection goes down quite a bit when you narrow it down to Pokemon that don't have abilities. Fortunately, there are some pretty powerful Pokemon out there that don't have abilities and can still do a lot of damage or be just super useful. Pikachu and Zekrom GX is probably the most recent one that's been played with Green's Exploration. It has no abilities, which is great. And Full Blitz is a super powerful attack, 150 damage. You can search your deck for up to 3 Lightning Energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon. Which is good because with using Pokemon that don't have abilities limits our access to Energy Acceleration. So having this Full Blitz on here is great so we can get that energy out without having to use trainer cards. And then Tagbolt GX, if we can get that charged up, does a lot of damage. There's lots of other options though. You can pick from Reshiram and Charizard is another great one. That had a very strong showing when it was a popular choice in the format. As you can see, no abilities and lots of powerful attacks. And of course there's other options, but definitely not as many as we would usually have to use for a deck. So when we're selecting our Pokemon, we don't have as many options to pick from, which is going to mean that we'll want to include multiple copies of our main attacker. So Pikachu and Zekrom would normally only have about 2 copies in a normal Pikachu and Zekrom deck, but since it's going to be our main man in this deck, we're going to include 4 copies of him. So we're going to put in all 4 of these, which may look a little strange, but it's definitely going to benefit us in the long run. You could also see the same if you looked at a popular Green Reshiram and Charizard deck. There's 4 copies in there. Now our deck won't be super great with just 4 Pikachu and Zekrom GX, even though that is a pretty great card. So we're going to need something else that can help out Pikachu and Zekrom. Fortunately, there's another great Lightning type Pokemon in the standard format, which is Bolton V. It's got Electrify, which can help you add some more Lightning Energy, and Bulletstorm does a lot of damage once you get that energy added up from Pikachu and Zekrom and Electrify. So we're going to include 4 copies of that as well. Now there is one problem when you're selecting these Pokemon. You only have V Pokemon and GX Pokemon. So if we were to run into something like Altaria, which prevents all damage done to it by Vs and GXs, we might be out of options if we have run out of Great Catchers or Boss's Orders. So you might want to look into including some Lightning Pokemon or normal type Pokemon that don't have that GX or V symbol by their name, so that way you will have some additional options. But we're going to be including a lot of trainer cards in this deck, so we will have options to Boss's Orders and Great Catcher and Escape Rope and things like that. So it may seem strange to stop here, but I think it's wise for a Green's Exploration deck to stop at 10 Pokemon at the max. You'll see most decks usually only have around 8, like the fire decks for Reshiram and Charizard usually only have the 4 Reshiram and Charizard and the 4 Volcanion. So I think it would be wise to stick to under 10 Pokemon, but probably more than 4. You don't want 2 little Pokemon that you're getting so many mulligans when you're trying to set up. So with the trainer cards, this is where we're going to be spending most of the cards in our deck. You're going to see that we only have 8 Pokemon and at the most 12 energy, so that's going to leave us room for about 40 trainer cards, which is a lot. And so we're going to start with the supporters. Obviously we want 4 Green's Exploration in this deck. It's the main part of our deck, and it's the whole reason why we only have 8 Pokemon, so we better include 4 copies in here. But for other supporters, we actually want to be very minimal with them. So we're definitely want to include Boss's Orders, but I would say probably only include 2. And Professor's Research, I think we'll probably go with 2 or 3. And then other trainer cards you'll want to include, but I would say only like 1 or 2 copies. If it's something that's pretty essential, like Boss's Orders or Professor's Research, you can include more than 2. But with those other trainer cards, we want to keep them to a lower count. Alright, as you can see, the trainer cards have filled up. I've got all 40 in here, which is what you'll probably see in a lot of decks. You see about 12 energy, 8 Pokemon, and 40 trainer cards. And as you can see, I've got quite a few different cards. Got lots of different options here, so we can have a choice for every single scenario we might run into. So start at the bottom right here with these Pokemon tools. We got a Vitality Band, so if we're just 10 damage short, which happens sometimes, and it's so annoying because then you have to waste a big attack next turn to just do that 10 damage. It can be super helpful to have this Vitality Band, so we've got one of those in there. We've got one Big Charm, and so we can add some health to one of our Pokemon if they are at risk of being one-shotted. Got an Air Balloon, so we can do some retreating. We've got 3 different stadiums here. We've got a Viridian Force, so we could find some energy. We've got a Power Plant with Pokemon GX and EX have no abilities, which is handy because none of our Pokemon have abilities, so this is only going to be a disadvantage to the opponent. And Chaotic as well, so that way we can take down any stadiums that the opponent might want to put out. Then we got a Tool Scrapper, so we can remove some tools on the opponent. We've got a Tag Call. This allows us to find 2 copies of Pikachu and Zekrom without having to discard any cards, so we've just got one of those in there. 3 Switch. This is a more essential card, so I included a higher amount of it. We've got 1 Reset Stamp, so this can, in addition to Marnie, put down the opponent's hand size a bit. Then we have 3 Quick Ball. Once again, more essential cards, so we have more copies of it. 1 Pokemon Catcher. So this is a great way to potentially switch one of the opponent's bench Pokemon if they're active. There's a Great Catcher in here. We've got Boss's Orders, but Boss's Orders would take up our supporter for the turn, and Great Catcher would force us to discard 2 cards. So it's always great to just have this Pokemon Catcher in here. Like I said, an option for everything. We've got 3 copies of Pokegear 3.0. So Green's Exploration is a pretty essential card in this deck, and so to find it easily we have these Pokegears in here, which allow us to look at the top 7 cards of our deck and reveal a supporter card we can find there. Palpad, so we can potentially shuffle those Green's Exploration back in, and if we find out we need to use Marnie maybe more than one time, and since we've only got 1 copy in here, we can shuffle that back in. Ordinary Rod, recover some Pokemon, recover some energy. Great Potion allows us to heal 50 damage from Pikachu and Zekrom if it does get injured. Great Catcher, like I mentioned, so we can bring up a bench Pokemon GX. Escape Rope, another switching option. So this is one that I have found really annoying since it came back. It forces both players to switch their active Pokemon after bench Pokemon. So it's a great one. You can use it. You know which Pokemon you want to bring up, but then the opponent doesn't see it coming, so they're forced to make some hasty decisions. 1 copy of Energy Switch. This one's used to Pikachu and Zekrom decks, so I think it's a great one. And then Energy Spinner. So there's not really a staple for a Greens deck, but Energy Spinner is kind of one of those ones. So if you get Greens and you go second, you can easily find this Energy Spinner. And while Energy Spinner in a normal deck might not be a great card because you have to find it on when you go second on your first turn, and you're gonna have to draw it in your starting hand, which if you only have 1 copy in here, it's a very low risk. But with Greens, we can easily find it, so that can get us 3 energy right off the bat, which can help us pull some pretty sweet combos. This allows us to discard 2 cards and then search for 2 in any combination of Lightning Pokemon GX and EX. Obviously, we have Pikachu and Zekrom in here. And then we have 3 copies of Crushing Hammer. Once again, this is a more essential card. Well, it's not really essential, but it's a super awesome card, so I wanted to include more copies of it. Now, I just realized something. So, with Electromagnetic Radar, this isn't a super great card because we have Tag on here, which is just a better version of Electromagnetic Radar. We can just go grab 2 Pikachu and Zekrom at a free cost. So I think I want to remove this Electromagnetic Radar. Now we have one more spot in trainer cards, or maybe we could add another Pokemon. So let's go into the Pokemon. And now I'm going to do something interesting. This is really only an exception for the Pikachu and Zekrom deck. We're going to add a Tapu Koko Prism Star. This card is incredible for Pikachu and Zekrom. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may choose 2 of your bench Pokemon and attach a Light Energy card from your discard pile to each of them. So this is a great one, especially if you go second and you get those 3 energy in your hand, maybe from Energy Spinner or you just got them in your starting hand, and you get Tapu Koko on the bench with Pikachu and Zekrom and Bolton and another Pokemon. Let's say Pikachu Zekrom's on deactive, you have 2 Bolton on the bench and Tapu Koko. You get 2 Light Energy in the discard pile, maybe with Great Catcher, and then Tapu Koko can attach just 2 Lightning Energy. Well, we would want to have Pikachu Zekrom on the bench. Take that back. And then, so we want to have Pikachu Zekrom Bolton on the bench. Then we can use Tapu Koko to attach a Light Energy to Pikachu Zekrom and Bolton. Then we can attach another energy to Pikachu and Zekrom. Use Energy Switch to move the energy from Bolton to Pikachu Zekrom. Bring Pikachu and Zekrom into the active position. Then we can use Full Blitz turn 1. Now you may notice, hey, this has an ability. Yes, it does, which it doesn't go quite into the form of our Green's Exploration deck. But since it's not an ability that's just going to be sitting out there and let us like draw a card every turn or something, it's just something that we're going to use, and then Tapu Koko gets put in the Lost Zone so it never comes back. I think we can include this. We're safe to do that, just because the ability is a little different than other abilities that you might see. Alright, and finishing out with the energy, like I said, we would have around 12 energy, and that's what we've got here. We've got 9 copies of the regular Lightning Energy, which is what we want because we can only accelerate this energy specifically with Full Blitz and Electrify, so we definitely want those in there. But then I've chosen to include 3 copies of the Speed Lightning Energy. And this one is great because when you attach it to your Lightning Pokemon, you get to draw 2 cards. I didn't want to go with the 4 full copies of this because while it is a great card, we want to leave some Lightning Energy in here for Pikachu and Zekrom and Bolton and Energy Spinner to be able to find. So yeah, let's go ahead and take one last look at this deck. See a brief overview. Got lots of different cards. If you saw my Zacian V deck recently, that deck was like just these first 2 rows because it didn't have very many different cards. But this one has a lot of different cards, so we have lots of options when we get into a scenario that has us in some trouble. We can just find the card that we need with Green's Exploration. Alright, so let's go ahead and save this deck. Let's name it Green's Pikarom, because I mean, it's a very fitting name. And then of course we've got to select the coin. Let's find a good coin. We got lots of different options here. So we've got that lightning one, or do we have a Pikachu one? Surely we have a Pikachu coin. There we go. Let's go with the gold action Pikachu coin. Apparently it's an action one. I don't know what makes this an action Pikachu. If you know, let me know. And then we've got all these deck boxes. Let's go ahead and do this Pikachu and Zekrom GX box. And card sleeves. Let's go with these lightning ones, and we'll save the deck. Alright, so it tells us to go try it out. I'll be doing that off camera, but I will try and remember to let you guys know how it turns out. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me breaking down how to build a Green's Exploration deck. While the card may be going away pretty soon, it is a pretty awesome card, and it's one of my favorites, so I wanted to make a video on how to use it. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment what kind of Green's Exploration decks have you built, and what's been the hero of your deck. Have you used Pikachu, Zekrom, Reshiram, or Charizard, or some other option? I'd like to know. Well, that's going to be it for me today. I hope to see you guys next time. Goodbye.